What is EMDR therapy and how does it work? Today I'm going to answer that question, and if you stick around to the very end, I'll even show you how weird EMDR therapy looks. Hi everyone, my name is Brian and I'm a licensed counselor. And let's start by talking about what is EMDR therapy. EMDR stands for Eye Movement Desensitization and Reprocessing, and you can already tell just by the name, this isn't like your average talk therapy. Though this is something that's being used by therapists around the world to help people, millions of people actually, who are struggling with anxiety, depression, substance use, grief, PTSD, trauma, and other things. And it's actually something I use with my clients too, especially those struggling with trauma and PTSD. And there's a lot of research showing just how effective EMDR therapy is, especially when it comes to trauma and PTSD. So this is something you can do in person or virtually through telehealth sessions. And one other amazing thing about EMDR is that it doesn't take a million sessions. It takes fewer sessions usually, and also in most cases we don't have to talk in great detail about past disturbing memories. I use the phrase past disturbing event more than I use the word trauma. I think some people struggle with the idea, did I live through trauma or did I not? And it's easier instead to just think about, like, when you do think back to that past disturbing event, that memory, do you feel disturbed now? And if so, this might be something we work on in EMDR therapy. Now, some examples of past disturbing events can be things like surviving a tornado, a shooting, a scary car accident, or it can be something like us being physically attacked by someone, or perhaps being harshly punished or belittled by a caregiver. Though past disturbing events can also be something we've done to someone else too. Like if we have this disturbing memory about bullying someone, say in the 4th grade. And also past disturbing events can be something totally socially acceptable. Like if we have this disturbing memory about a really scary surgery that we had. It's important to know that sometimes when we think back to something in the past, it can be quite normal for it to still feel a little disturbing. For example, if I'm working with someone whose grandparent died about 10 years ago, they might say, yeah, it still feels a little sad to think back to that. Though it's different if that same person in the same situation says, yeah, I feel really intensely guilty right now, and then they start sobbing heavily, then this might be really something we work on in EMDR. Simply put, EMDR therapy helps people to remove the emotional charge attached to memories, and also makes it so that things that were triggering to that person are no longer triggers. EMDR can make it so that we can transform someone's belief about themselves and their environment, and also remove those less comfortable sensations or painful sensations that might be attached to the trauma or past disturbing event. Now let's say then that I'm working with someone who's been through cyberbullying, and every now and then they have this memory that pops up of something that happened 3 months ago, where they see their friends making fun of them on Facebook. Now, they notice that when this memory pops up, they feel really anxious and embarrassed. And also, even when they just hear someone talking about Facebook, they feel the same way. They notice they start avoiding being on social media altogether. And they notice also that they start to believe I'm not good enough. And in general, they become aware of how they just feel tense in their neck and their face more often. So in this situation, if we were to do EMDR with this person, part of the goal is making it so that when this memory pops up, even if it does pop up at all, then they are no longer triggered by it. And when they hear someone talking about Facebook, also, that is no longer triggering. We're making it so that also they can get on social media again, feel comfortable doing that, and also helping them to believe I am good enough instead of I'm not good enough. And likely they would notice that their body feels more comfortable, especially the neck and the face just feels more relaxed. And also then they're feeling more confident about what they might do in case something in the future, like if this happens again, what they might do. So we've talked about what is EMDR therapy. Now let's talk about how does EMDR therapy work. Classic EMDR involves repeatedly moving the eyes left and right while someone focuses on any memories, sensations, emotions, thoughts, or other things too, with the help of a trained EMDR therapist. And I told you this therapy looks weird, and you might be thinking, why would we want to move our eyes repeatedly left and right? Like, how's that supposed to help with anything? The answer actually comes from something almost every single one of us does every single night. We actually make these same eye movements during a phase of our sleep called rapid eye movement sleep, or REM sleep for short. And this is the phase of sleep where actually most of our dreams are occurring, and our limbs, our arms and our legs are actually temporarily paralyzed so we don't accidentally act out our dreams. And this is the phase of sleep where our brain is thought to be doing more heavy processing of our memories. So then when we're doing EMDR with the same eye movements, we're just activating the function of REM sleep to help us more fully process any information that might be stuck. And this leads us to yet another question: how does information get stuck in our brain? Well, simply put, if we're experiencing something very overwhelming in the moment, then the brain is trying its hardest to process that information, though it may be so very disturbing at the time that the information doesn't get processed correctly. And also, our brains are working as hard as possible to memorize information that can help us survive. Like, let's say in the instance of a shooting, where someone's trying to remember the face of a shooter, though sometimes less important information can get mixed up with that, let's say the sound of a gunshot. And when you think of the sound of a gunshot, then it can make sense how someone can be triggered when they hear the sound of car backfiring, or say even fireworks, and to make them feel like they're reliving that past event. The brain may even really try to process this information itself throughout the day or even the night when someone's sleeping. And that's where some of these nightmares about past events can come up. Though unfortunately, when the brain attempts this, it's so overwhelming that the person really feels like they're reliving the event that the information just stays stuck and they can't fully digest it. And this is where the help of a trained EMDR therapist comes in, to where we can get that stuck information unstuck and help the body resume its natural healing process, much like it's able to just naturally heal a cut on your hand. EMDR doesn't always involve using the eyes. There are other ways to use bilateral stimulation, which basically means just stimulating one side of the body and then the next, repeatedly. So other ways we can do this are with sounds and more tactile things like vibrations or tapping. We'll talk about those here. So sounds, what that would look like is someone be wearing some headphones, then you hear a tone in this ear, and then this ear, and then this ear, and then this ear, just back and forth repeatedly. And otherwise, if we use something different, say the tapping, especially over a virtual or telehealth session, it might look like this. Just doing that repeatedly. And we can also use vibrations for bilateral stimulation as well, where we often use a tool called tappers. So with these, basically it's like a cell phone vibrating in the hand. So it'll vibrate here, and then this hand, and then this hand, and back and forth. So one interesting thing about EMDR is we can use multiple forms of bilateral stimulation at the same time, where that might involve using the eyes while listening to the tone, or maybe we're listening to the tones while feeling the vibrations through the tappers. So there's different ways that you can do that, though oftentimes EMDR therapists will try to start people off with eye movements. And that's because that has the most research behind it, and then therefore is thought to be the most effective. Though this isn't the case for everyone that it's most effective, and in fact, someone might feel much more comfortable with another form of bilateral stimulation that just makes it more effective for them. So with that, once we find a form that's effective and comfortable for someone, we usually stick with that form of bilateral stimulation. We won't kind of change it from day to day, and we'll just stick with the same thing over multiple sessions. So yes, that's how weird EMDR therapy looks. Though I hope you found this information really helpful, and if you were thinking about doing EMDR, I hope I helped you feel a little more comfortable about possibly getting into it. And if you did find the video helpful, then I hope you'll like and subscribe, and that'll help you know when I put out a new video about mental health or counseling in the future. Otherwise, what is something you find interesting about EMDR? Just let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.